Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Russ has the night off. Well, a public health water warning sends Huntley Project schools into action. As a school bell rang for the first time this year, students were met with signs and warnings, but also solutions in place to keep them safe. This less than 24 hours after the communities of Warden and Ballantyne were told to not drink their tap water. Because Huntley Project schools are located in Warden, this also impacts more than 600 students and staff. Q2's David J is standing by now with the very latest tonight. David.
Well, Jeanelle, tap water was turned off and there is plenty of fresh drinking water for all the students to fill their water bottles. School personnel have added 19 water dispensers all around the high school, middle school, and elementary school. They're at spots also near the drinking fountains and places for the athletes. Superintendent Mark Wandel says the school brought in 48 5-gallon bottles or 240 gallons of water and used about 180 gallons today. Wandel says he's looking at the potential costs and labor savings on a filtering system.
We're trying to figure out what we can do long term. So if this is going to be longer than a 2-week issue, which it sounds like it's probably going to be, we want to make sure that we don't have to have dispensers as nice as this is. It really takes a lot of manpower to take us from some other things. We host a lot of events here at Huntley Project. We have teams visiting. We have students every day who might have some of those needs. To have safe, potable water for them all the time is really our goal.
Some donations have come in for both water and bottles, and Mark Wandel says after taking care of the students at school, the administration may try to figure out a way to get water to the children's families and others in the community. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks, David. Again, the warning to not consume the tap water in Warden and Ballantyne, and that includes brushing your teeth. Now, the state believes surface water has contaminated the water, but experts do not yet know the source. Current disinfection and chlorine treatment is not working, and boiling the water will not disinfect it. Now, experts tell Q2 today that reverse osmosis and home filtration systems will work. A public meeting is set for next Monday, August 26th at 6 p.m. at Huntley Project High School. State, county, and district officials will be on hand to answer questions. A 70-year-old man taken to the hospital tonight after his truck hit a guide wire and rolled in West Billings. It happened on 32nd Street West at Central Avenue around 6:30 tonight. Billings police say the pickup truck was heading south on 32nd, veered left and rolled after it hit the cables attached to a power pole. Sergeant Clyde Reed says no update on the man's injuries tonight, and investigators are trying to figure out if the man suffered a medical problem. Well, the Montana Supreme Court has thrown out the murder conviction of a former Billings attorney who was found guilty 15 years after his wife was found drowned in the Bighorn River. In 2016, Brian Laird was sentenced to 100 years in prison for the 1999 death of Catherine Laird, whose body was found in the Afterbay area of Yellowtail Dam. Now, Laird argued that testimony from a deceased forensic pathologist was wrongly admitted at his trial. An FBI agent testified that during the autopsy, the pathologist described bruising around the woman's neck as troubling. A majority of the Montana Supreme Court justices agreed, stating the evidence should not have been allowed. Well, an update tonight on toxic algae blooms popping up in Montana lakes and ponds. Now, those blooms that can harm people and pets are now reported in Lake Elmo. The Montana Department of Environmental Quality has set out warnings. Now, this toxic algae predominantly grows in shallow, warm water areas where there's a lot of sunlight. If you do see blue-green algae, you should not let your children or pets get in the water. A bloom was also reported in July at Lake Josephine in Riverfront Park. Well, tonight we touch bases with a shepherd company that's consistently working to eliminate algae-filled lakes and ponds. As Q2's Russ Riesinger shows us, it involves man-made floating islands, plants, and plenty of good fishing.
It doesn't take a lot of luck to reel one in here at Fish Fry Lake. It's filled with a variety of hungry fish.
Largemouth bass, northern yellow perch, bluegill, black crappie.
Bruce Kanya runs a company called Floating Island International. This small lake near Shepherd can also be described as his science lab.
We're trying to understand how to clean nutrients that will otherwise become algae out of the water.
Fish Fry Lake was once covered in thick, stinky algae fed by a ditch rich in nutrients from fertilizer runoff. Today, it looks much different.
We've learned that if we can propagate those nutrients into fish and then harvest the fish at high levels, Why, it's a terrific way to remove the nutrients that would otherwise become harmful algae bloom here in the lake. In fact, when we started, the lake was really thick with algae. And today, it's a lot more clean, and the fishery here is wonderful.
And Bruce credits the synthetic floating islands that his company makes for that. Thousands of them have been launched around the world, some small, others nearly the size of a football field. The floating islands, made from recycled materials, act as a filter and improve water quality. The roots from plants inserted into them reach into the water and take up nutrients while creating a healthy food source for fish.
We harvest about 6,000 to 8,000 fish a year from Fish Fry Lake in order to clean it up. The lake is 6.5 acres. So roughly 1,000 fish an acre. But that's the story.
Bruce thinks there's a lot that can be learned here that can be applied to other places dealing with algae problems.
We can do this naturally. Nature's on our side. And in fact, if we're willing to work with nature, we can fix our water again. We can have it back.
In Shepherd, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN.
And Russ tells us Floating Island International has now launched around 9,000 man-made islands around the world. Well, Muscle Shoals County deputies have discovered a fourth bull elk poached and left to rot in the southwestern part of the county. Take a look. This bull elk was discovered about 25 miles from where 3 other poached elk were found 2 days ago. If you have any information about any of these crimes, call either numbers on your screen. Well, more than 3,000 MSU students are settling into their dorms as the new school year begins in Bozeman. President Waded Cruzado says welcoming new students and returning students is one of the best days of the year. Students say they're looking forward to football games, meeting new people, and even going to class. Well, the annual Catwalk Parade on Main Street is Friday at 11 a.m. Well, this year, Carroll College in Helena welcomes its largest class of freshmen in 3 years. And today, college leaders greeted students with breakfast and handshakes. The incoming class is made of students from across the U.S. as well as 30 countries. With this influx of students, leaders say their main objective is to ensure students feel comfortable. And in Butte, hundreds of freshmen moved into their dorms today at Montana Tech. These freshmen will be the first residents of a new $24 million Student Success Center built to help recruit and retain more students. The building is packed with amenities so students feel right at home. Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now. Bob, you saw all the college students starting their school year. It looks like School District 2 students are looking at rain for their first day of class.
Yeah, at least later on in the day. And it's always a big day when kids go off to school for the first time. So when they take off for the school area, here's what they're going to see. The weather really not too bad. It's going to be 68 degrees when they take off for school and get on the bus. It'll be partly cloudy, plenty of sunshine, not too bad. But then as the day goes on, we're expecting to see a new cold front move into the region. And look what that's going to do. It's going to bring with it some afternoon showers and thunderstorms moving in right around 2 to 2:30. Temperatures will start at about 88 degrees and continue to drop slowly after that, and eventually we'll be cooling back down into the 70s by the time next week gets here. That should feel really good for the kids. But anyway, we'll have more about that coming up in a few more minutes. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks, Bob. Well, still to come on tonight's Q2 10 o'clock news, you'll meet the man behind a rhythmic auctioneer chant that's become famous across the state. Plus, Steamboat Geyser ties a record in Yellowstone National Park. A look at the science behind all of its activity. And in sports tonight, Scott shows us if your league-leading Mustangs stay hot against Great Falls.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.